This is a story of something surprisingly ordinary. It is a moment lost in the vastness of time, yet carefully preserved for us to witness today. A night that began like any other in the bustling port of Troas, but would end in a way that no one could have foreseen. The city of Troas was a place of coming and going, a bridge between nations. But on this specific evening, the air felt different. There was a quiet anticipation settling over the stone streets and rugged cliffs, as if the very sea was holding its breath for what was about to unfold. Through the narrow, torchlit alleyways, people were moving. They weren't there for trade or for travel. They were drawn to a small upper room, high above the streets, where a message of hope was being shared by a man whose words would change the world forever. The walls of the city had seen many nights, but none like this. The flickering shadows danced upon the stone, mirroring the intensity of the gathering within. It was a moment of deep connection, a community bound by a common faith and a shared hunger for truth. In the center of it all was something surprisingly ordinary, a long message, a tired listener, and a moment of human weakness that we have all felt at some point in our lives. It is in these simple, relatable moments that the greatest miracles often find their beginning. The oil lamps burned steady, their smoke curling upward toward the heavy wooden beams of the ceiling. The room was filled with the scent of burning oil and the warmth of many bodies, creating an atmosphere that was both sacred and deeply, tangibly human. But this story didn't end the way you might expect. It didn't end with a quiet prayer or a peaceful farewell. This will shock you, because on this night, someone fell asleep, and when they were found, it seemed they would never wake up again. It is a warning to those who think they are beyond the reach of tragedy. A reminder that in an instant, everything can change. The eyes of the world are often blind to the unseen dangers that lurk in the shadows of our most ordinary moments. It was evening in that crowded upper room. Believers had gathered from all over the city to listen to a man named Paul. He was a man of passion and purpose, and on this night, his voice carried a weight that resonated in the hearts of everyone present. The room was packed. Men and women, young and old, sat closely together on rugs and low benches. They had come to hear about the kingdom of God, to find strength in each other's presence, and to be inspired by the words of the apostle. Paul spoke with urgency. He knew that his time with them was short, and that he might not see these faces again. He poured out his heart, sharing the truths that had transformed his own life, his words a lifeline to those sitting in the warm glow of the lamps. So he kept going. Hour after hour, his voice filled the room, a beacon of hope in the deep night. He spoke of grace, of redemption, and of the power of a life lived for something greater than oneself. The people listened, their souls stirred by the conviction in his voice. Outside, the world was silent, the stars and the moon keeping their lonely watch over Troas. Inside, the hours were slipping away, the boundary between the day and the next beginning to blur in the thick, hazy air of the upper room. The weight of the words and the weight of the night began to press upon them. Weariness settled over the crowd like a heavy blanket. The lamps burned low, their oil being replenished in a quiet, repetitive ritual that marked the passage of time. And there, by the window, sat a young man. His name was Eutychus. He had likely worked a long day in the city, his body tired, but his spirit willing. He had found a seat in the windowsill, hoping the cool night air would help him stay focused on Paul's message. He listened, like everyone else, his eyes fixed on the speaker. But the night grew long, the room grew warm, and the struggle against sleep began. It was a battle he fought with every ounce of his will. But the human body has its limits, even in the presence of the divine. And slowly, his eyes began to close. He tried to stay awake, to pull himself back from the edge of unconsciousness, but sleep was stronger. The flickering light of the lamps blurred into a hazy, warm glow as the world around him began to fade. The rhythm of Paul's voice became a lullaby, pulling him deeper and deeper into the depths of exhaustion. His head dropped to his chest, his posture surrendered to the weight of sleep. He was no longer a listener. He was a traveler in the land of dreams. His body leaned, the center of gravity shifting in his sleep. And then, in a moment of terrifying silence, he slipped. The space where he had been sitting was suddenly empty, the only sound the rustle of the wind through the open window frame. From the third story, he fell, down to the hard stone of the ground below. A young life, full of potential and hope, was ended in an instant. When they reached him, his breath was gone, and his heart was still. The room above froze in a moment of pure, unadulterated shock. But Paul didn't panic. He moved with a purpose born of faith. He went down and embraced the boy, his voice a beacon of hope in the darkness. "He is alive," he said. And just like that, what was lost was restored. Life returned to the young man, a miracle in the heart of the night. The room filled again, not with fear, but with awe. They went back upstairs and continued their gathering, their hearts full of wonder. As the sun began to rise over Troas, it was as if life itself had been given back to the entire community. Second chances are real, and they are powerful. This story reminds us that even in our weakness, there is still restoration. Subscribe for more powerful Bible stories that reveal the extraordinary in the ordinary. Thank you for watching this journey of faith and hope. May you find your own second chance today.